When my husband, Chidi, grabbed my wrist and began dragging me toward the dressing mirror in our bedroom, I felt a coldness that did not come from the air conditioner. "Look at yourself, Amaka. Look at the woman you have become," he shouted, his voice echoing against the expensive Italian tiles of our duplex. It was 6:05 p.m. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky in that bruised purple color that always made my heart race. I screamed, a sound so raw it felt like my throat was tearing, and I dug my heels into the rug, begging him to let me go. To Chidi, I was just a dramatic, superstitious wife who had finally pushed him too far with my village mentalities. To me, that mirror was not a piece of glass. It was a portal to a debt I was not ready to pay. I had one rule that was non-negotiable. After the clock struck 6, every mirror in our house had to be covered with a thick black cloth. Chidi had tolerated it at first, thinking it was just a quirky phobia from my upbringing in the interior part of Anambra. But tonight, the tension between us had boiled over because of my younger sister, Ifunanya. Ifunanya, the golden child, the one with the voice of an angel, had died 2 days ago in a freak accident. She was only 24, and the news had shattered our family. Chidi was grieving, but he was also frustrated because I refused to look him in the eye and I refused to uncover the mirrors, even as we prepared for her burial. "Is this what your God taught you?" Chidi hissed, pulling me closer to the mahogany-framed glass. "To be afraid of your own reflection while your sister lies in a mortuary?" I couldn't tell him the truth. I couldn't tell him that every time I looked into a mirror after dark, I didn't see my own face anymore. I saw hers. I saw Ifunanya's eyes, weeping blood, asking me why I had taken what didn't belong to me. My mind raced back to the day we visited that old man, Dibia Okeke, in the valley behind our village, 15 years ago. I was the plain sister, the dull sister, the one no one noticed at the village square. Ifunanya was the star, destined for greatness, destined for a life of light and soft silk. When she sang, the birds would stop to listen, but when I spoke, even the goats turned away. I wanted her life. I wanted her grace. I wanted the way our father looked at her with pride while he looked at me with pity. And the old man had told me it was possible, but the reflection of the soul cannot be hidden forever. "The mirror will keep the secret during the day," he had whispered, his teeth yellow and broken, smelling of dry herbs and ancient earth. "But at night, the glass belongs to the spirits. Never look, or they will remind you of the theft." He had taken a small silver blade and nicked my thumb, then did the same to Ifunala while she slept in the afternoon heat. He mixed our blood in a clay pot filled with rainwater that had never touched the ground. "From today," he muttered, "her glory is your garment, and your shadow is her cage." I watched as my skin seemed to glow, my features softening into the beauty I had always envied. But there was a price. Ifunanya began to wither, her voice becoming a raspy whisper, her lock turning into a trail of broken promises. Chidi's grip tightened on my arm, pulling me back to the present, and I realized he wasn't going to stop. He thought he was delivering me from a spirit of fear, not knowing he was delivering me to my executioner. "I am tired of this darkness, Amaka. Tonight you will face this nonsense." I went limp in his arms, sobbing. "Chidi, please," I whispered. "If you love me, let me stay in the dark. Some secrets are kept for a reason." He didn't listen. He reached out and ripped the black velvet cloth from the mirror with a violent tug. "Wait, my darlings, let me catch my breath because this story is getting heavy. Before we see what happened when that cloth hit the floor, I want to ask, where are you watching from today? Are you in the busy streets of Lagos, the quiet suburbs of Johannesburg, or maybe you are listening from the diaspora in London or Houston? I see you all and I love you. Please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who loves a good mystery, and subscribe to become part of the Afro Softy family, as your free contributions mean everything to me. Remember, my darlings, as your scriptwriter, this story is fictionalized and I use AI to help me bring these worlds to life quickly, but the human ideas and the deep lessons we are learning are very real. Pay close attention because the glass is about to break. The cloth fell to the floor like a dead weight, and the silence that followed was louder than any scream. Chidi forced my head up, his breathing heavy with frustration. "Look," he commanded. I opened my eyes, expecting to see my own terrified face. Instead, I saw nothing. The mirror was blank. It was like looking into a pool of deep black oil or a hole dug into the side of a mountain at midnight. Chidi froze. I could feel his heart hammering against my back, a frantic rhythm of confusion. "Amaka," he stammered, his voice losing its iron and turning into a thin thread of fear. "Why is there no reflection?" He moved his own hand in front of the glass, waving it back and forth, but the mirror did not show his hand. Then slowly, a shape began to form in the blackness, swirling like smoke in a windy room. It wasn't me. It was Ifunanya. But it wasn't the beautiful Ifunanya we had lost 2 days ago in that car accident. It was a version of her that was rotting, her beautiful skin peeling away like old paint, her eyes hollowed out and filled with crawling things. And then she smiled, revealing rows of sharp, blackened teeth. In the mirror, she raised her hand and pointed directly at me, her finger bone white and trembling with rage.
Chidi let go of me and backed away, his face turning a ghostly shade of grey that I will never forget. "What is this?" he screamed, stumbling over the discarded black cloth. "Amaka, what have you done? What did you do to your sister?" The figure in the mirror began to speak, but no sound came out of the glass. The voice came from inside my own head, vibrating against my skull until I thought my brain would explode. "You stole my voice, sister," the spirit whispered, a sound like dry leaves skittering on a grave. "You stole my husband. You stole my life. You watched me cry for years, wondering why the heavens had turned their back on me, while you sat in the front row of the church, wearing my favor like a stolen wrapper." I fell to my knees, covering my ears, but the voice was everywhere. It was in the walls, in the floor, in the very air I breathed. "This is the wife you love, Chidi," the voice mocked, turning its attention to my husband. "A thief of destinies, a woman who traded her sister's breath for a comfortable home and a gold wedding ring. She didn't just take my luck, she took my time." Chidi looked at me with such pure disgust that it hurt more than any physical blow. The man who used to call me his queen now looked at me like I was a cockroach under his boots. "Is it true?" he asked, his voice trembling. Did you have something to do with her death?" "No," I cried out, my voice cracking. "The death was an accident. I only took the luck. I only took the favor. I didn't want her to die. I just wanted to be like her." "You took everything," the mirror shrieked, and this time the sound broke the glass. Cracks spider-webbed across the surface, but the pieces didn't fall. Instead, they stayed in place, each one reflecting a different moment of my betrayal. I saw myself as a teenager, laughing, while Ifunanya cried because she had lost her voice before a big competition. I saw myself standing by the road, watching her car swerve to avoid a shadow that looked exactly like mine. The room began to shake. The shadows on the wall grew long and distorted, turning into clawed hands that reached for my throat. Chidi ran. He didn't try to save me. He didn't try to pray. He just ran out of the room, his footsteps fading down the hallway, leaving me alone with the thing in the glass.
I looked back at the shattered mirror and the image had changed again. Now it was showing me, but I looked like a monster. My face was twisted, my skin was covered in scales, and my tongue was forked like a snake. The reflection didn't move when I moved. I tried to stand, but the reflection stayed seated. I put my hands to my face, but in the mirror, my hands were down by my side, clutching a bloody knife I didn't possess in real life. "The truth is out, Amaka," the reflection said, its voice now sounding exactly like mine, but colder. "And now we trade places. The death is due and the collector has arrived." I felt a sudden, violent pull, like a giant vacuum was sucking the air out of my lungs. My skin felt like it was being turned inside out, a searing pain that made me want to melt into the floor. I screamed and screamed until my voice gave out, but the darkness was swallowing me whole, pulling me into the cold, flat world of the glass. The next thing I knew, I was standing in a cold, silent place where everything was backwards. I looked out and I saw my bedroom. I saw Chidi coming back into the room with a priest from our church, Father Benedict. They were standing right in front of me. I banged on the glass. I shouted for them to help me. I screamed that I was sorry, that I would give it all back. Father Benedict looked straight at me, straight into the mirror. But he didn't see me. He didn't see the woman who had shared his communion bread for years. He saw the perfect Amaka sitting on the bed, weeping softly, looking like a victim of a spiritual attack. The demon, the reflection of my sin, had taken my place. It was wearing my skin, living in my house, and comforting my husband with its cold, dead hands. And I was trapped behind the glass, doomed to watch my life be lived by a lie, a silent witness to my own replacement. The burial of Ifunanya was the final blow to my soul. From inside the mirrors of the family house, I watched as they lowered her casket into the ground. The demon, wearing my face, stood at the graveside, wailing louder than anyone else, receiving the sympathy of the whole village. People praised me for my strength and my devotion, saying how much I must have loved my sister to grieve so deeply. But as the demon passed by a large mirror in the hallway of our father's house after the service, it paused. It looked at me, trapped in the silver world, and winked with an eye that wasn't mine. Then it leaned in close, its breath fogging the glass, and whispered so only I could hear. "A stolen destiny is a heavy burden, sister. Thank you for carrying it for so long. I'll take it from here. And don't worry, I'll make sure Chidi joins you soon." I am still here, my darlings. I am in your dressing mirror. I am in your car window. I am in the screen of your phone right now. I am the warning that you cannot build a mansion on a foundation of blood and expect it to stand against the storm. This life is deep. My people, have you heard? They say a man who brings home maggot-infested faggots should not complain when lizards start visiting him. Amaka thought she could hide her darkness behind a black cloth and a church pew, but the universe has a way of balancing the books. You see, my darlings, we must be careful of what we envy. We must be careful of the shortcuts we take to reach the top, because the road that looks the shortest often leads to a cliff. A lie can travel for 20 years, but the truth will catch up to it in one day. And on that day, no amount of native or rapper can hide the shame. Here are the lessons we must take home from the tragedy of Amaka and Ifunanya. Destiny cannot be forced. What belongs to you will come to you without you having to destroy another person. If you steal a chair, you will never sit comfortably on it. Secrets have an expiry date. You can hide a pregnancy, but you cannot hide the cry of a newborn baby. Whatever you do in the secret will eventually be shouted from the rooftops. The danger of envy. Envy is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Amaka's obsession with her sister's light ended up consuming her own soul. character is your true reflection. You can wear the finest lace and the most expensive jewelry, but if your heart is rotten, the world will eventually smell the stench. Restitution is better than cover-ups. If Amaka had confessed and sought true repentance instead of covering mirrors, perhaps the end would have been different. Be careful what you pray for. Sometimes we ask for things we aren't prepared to pay for. The glory Amaka wanted came with a price she couldn't afford. The spiritual world is real. You cannot play with ancient things and expect to remain untouched. Every spiritual transaction has a fine print. This life is a mirror, my darlings. What you show it is what it will return to you. I hope you have learned something today.